good, y'all, and welcome to my review for this week's episode of My Hero Academia Season 7. Oh my god, what an episode this was, man. Now, I will say, I already kind of knew the contents of this episode before. This was like, this was like a massive, obviously a huge moment in the manga, so I saw it all over my feed, trying to avoid it, but I did see it, because this was such a huge moment, man. And I will say this right now, Bakugo is not dead. Like, the second I saw this, I'm like, there is no way Bakugo is dead. This is a fake out, like Neji and Choji during the Sasuke retrieval arc, man. There's no way he's dead because of how important he is to plot. One, Shueisha ain't gonna let them kill him just because of how popular and how big he is. Two, the entire story has always revolved around Izuku and Bakugo taking over as a new symbols of peace, you know, after All Might. Then again, with what's going on in the manga currently from little bits I saw, that might be in question. I don't think it is. I think, you know, with this was just this is a slight speed bump back to where we were, and of course we also had the future like vision thing from Endeavor, the previous episode. So I don't think this is I think this is the current course of the series, and that's where it's going to be ending off at when that does happen. So I knew that, and I just thought and that was the two reasons why I thought Bakugo wasn't dead. But there were a lot of people that did think he was dead. In fact, I remember when this first happened on, there were a lot of people mocking like Bakugo fans out there and Hirawaka fans just because, you know, it's a hip thing to hit on to mock Hirawaka. Because I remember, I think it was James that quote tweeted this. There was I saw a video or a screen recording of somebody going into a Twitter space that was literally nothing but Bakugo profile pictures and all of them just collectively sobbing when this chapter originally came out, man. I remember seeing everyone was mocking them for which, listen, I will gladly mock the Hirawaka community. I will gladly take her to mock Hirawaka fans here in more specific sections of the Hirawaka fandom, because you know, y'all know me. There is a lot of cringe in this fandom and a lot of obnoxiousness. There's an entire Twitter here I just dedicate to bad takes on Hirawaka that I recently started following, man. He's a banger account. So, you know, you had that whole thing going on, man. And I did think this was kind of double standard with this whole thing happening, and I wasn't mocking them because this was kind of just I mean, we've all cried more than likely at one point or another in our favorite anime, whether it's Clan at Assassination Classroom Season 2. If you know, you know. God, that really got me in the feels, especially when I first saw Ass Class Season 2. Clan at, that's another one that's a massive tearjerker for a lot of people. You know, Your Name or whatever. What other animes out there that are typical? Anohana, that's probably the big one. The big one that always makes people cry is Anohana. And people cry on those and people nobody mocks them for that, but when it's for Hirawaka, they start mocking people for it. So I thought that was a little bit double standard with that one. That's why I didn't really get involved in myself. I was like, alright people, this is kind of a double standard for you guys to do just on the Hirawaka fandom. But yeah, man. This, regardless of me top of the fandom, the initial reaction to this when this happened in the manga, 2 years ago, this might have been last year, I don't remember specifically when this was, but this was such an amazing episode, man. The animation of this episode, especially during the second half of it, with Bakugo perhaps using One For All. Like you guys know, he had One For All. Izuku gave him One For All during the segment, during Heroes Rising. And we know the movies are canon, even we've even seen bits of the movies actually come back into the main series. You know, we saw Melissa's gauntlets make an appearance, you know, her gauntlets make an appearance in the last season, man. There's been some recent moments in the manga recently that have also brought in things from the movies as well that won't get into spoilers. But yeah, so there's a good chance this might have been him using whatever embers of one, and he also sees All Might's, you know, fucking ghost thing, that vestige, whatever you want to call it, in the episode as well, that Izuku saw when he went inside his head into One For All, talking to the previous wielders of One For All. So all of this kind of makes it seem like he was using whatever he had left of One For All from Heroes Rising here. And it certainly looked very similar to how he looked in this episode, to how he looked during that movie when he did have One For All. No idea if he actually was using One For All, that was just his quirk leveling up and his quirk awakening or whatnot, but it definitely did look like he was using One For All, man, and looked absolutely just spectacular. The animation there, we'll talk about that more when we get to that part of the episode, man, but it looks spectacular. Anyway, I've rambled on long enough. Let's get right into the actual episode. We start the episode off with Aizawa screaming at Mandala, asking about why Izuku isn't there, and that she has lost contact to him due to his servants, due to interference, and she's getting nothing but static. And you actually get to see, and also shout out to Ayazawa's Seiyu here as well. But you get to see him like actually getting emotional, screaming at Mirko, Edshot, and Genius to protect Bakugo, that he wants to graduate and he's aiming to become the #1 hero. I think this is like the first time we've ever actually seen Ayazawa get like emotional for any of his students. Like obviously we had that one episode in season 5 where he was trying to convince him, trying to get his friend out of Kurogiri and try to get him out there to like go back to his friend. But I think this is the first time we've ever seen him actually get like emotional for any of his students, like begging them to protect them or anything, which we don't often see with Aizawa. That's not the only time we actually get to see a character that doesn't typically show much emotion, get emotional, because that's what we see later on. We see Bakugo I can't speak today, crying later on in the episode as well. Although I think it might have been going more to getting the liquid out there to use for like sweat and whatnot for his power up or whatnot. But still, that was definitely shocking to see Bakugo actually crying, because we haven't really we've seen him cry, but usually just out of like frustration and not out of like sadness or anything like that, you know what I mean? Anyway, we then get back to Bakugo and Shigaraki, and once again Shigaraki is talking all this shit to Bakugo, and well, actually, before I get ahead of myself, right before that was while Shigaraki is walking towards Bakugo, we actually head back over with Tamaki and Nejire as they see the destruction around them. They see like the school has been starting to get destroyed. Like we see Tamaki, he's like inside a classroom with like a desk right next to him, and he's like I wanted a graduation ceremony, which is kind of shocking to hear him say, because you guys know Tamaki doesn't like to be around people. He doesn't like to be seen. He's always he's always hiding. He's always trying to make himself a small boss and always like hiding in shit, man. As we especially see later on when he started to talk to Nejire for the first time, man, he doesn't want to be seen. So it's kind of surprising he would want to graduate ceremony with all those people around there, man. But hey, I guess he learned something new every day. But anyway, so we can also hear Mirio in the background as well. That they're all kind of like as they all say they want the graduation ceremony. And they're like, let's do this, let's win this, and get the graduation ceremony. And we also get this really nice shot of all three of them right next to each other with Mirio slightly coming out of the ground, which looked awesome, man. I love this shot. So then we get back to Bakugo, as I said earlier, Shigaraki is talking all this shit to him about him. He's like, oh, you shouldn't be here. He shouldn't be here that long, and it's a good thing my quirk was erased, so you wouldn't decay right under my face. He's like has his foot right on him, and he's like stomping on him and shit. And also, somehow, I don't even know how Shigaraki does this, but he straight up, like, grabs him by his hair with, like, his foot. That's at least how it looked like in the episode. He grabs him by the hair by his foot, lifts him up, destroys his other gauntlet that was still intact, and then starts choking him as he calls him, "You are nothing but shit." He didn't say shit, but I'm paraphrasing. "You are nothing but shit next to all for one." And I'm like, damn, bro, the disrespect. He was already disrespecting him in the previous episode, bro. Now he's really getting in there and really disrespecting our boy Bakugo, man, calling him poop next to all for one, bro. Like, the disrespect, man. Bakugo is just catching nothing but L's this episode, man. You hate to see it, man. You hate to see it. And he goes on about how Izuku was so angry when he just skewered him. You will be a great gift to him once he finally gets here, man. And then Nejire tries to go in there and attack him, but then Shigaraki straight up uses Bakugo as a meat shield, so Nejire has to move her attack around, which Shigaraki uses that to use his finger club thing to hit Nejire, but Tamaki managed to get in there using what he called it was like octopus mirage with scorpion tail, and manages to poison Shigaraki. But then as the poison starts to go through his body, a mouth opens in his arm and just spits all the poison out right back. And I'm like, how? Since when could he have mouths? We know he's obviously evolving and everything with the finger thing, but he could also grow mouths in his arms and fingers too to release poison. Bro, Shigaraki is getting really OP, man. But yeah, anyway, like I said, he's getting super overpowered. His fingers start going everywhere as everyone's dodging his attacks. Which one thing I also really liked about this episode was I liked how a lot of the storyboarding, at least of this portion of the episode, went around, kind of focused with or went with Shigaraki's finger. A lot of them were built around Shigaraki's fingers with some of the shots, and we paid attention to them, which I liked. I thought that was a nice little touch there with the storyboarding of this episode. But anyway, Mirio's managed to finally get in there close enough to get Shigaraki out of Shigaraki's grab, yeets him up into the air, and Bessie is able to grab him with his cable wires. As he tells him that you definitely didn't have any friends. If you did, you would know that there's some things that just shouldn't be destroyed, man. And it looks like, well, he also has like Nejirai's energy around his fist before he finally punches him, man. Which looks really good. And it looks like it did some damage to him because you can actually see his like midsection, his abs are actually a little bit red where Mirio punched him. We then have heard the best genius as he starts to try to treat Bakugo's wounds, as he says, "Hey, give me your arm so I can look at it," and he goes on to say how the whole reason Bakugo was here was because he was fighting, because he previously fighting him, obviously back in Season 6. But now since Shigaraki is awakened, that experience is basically pointless, and tells Bakugo that he did a good job. And like I said, he starts crying during all this. And then he starts saying random phrases like finger, feint, timing, wraparound, back. Like, what is he doing? Is he trying to find patterns in Bakugo's attacks? Is he trying to, like, what the fuck is he doing here? And Best Genius is shocked. He's like, he's still, it's like, he's still doing what? What is he doing? Please tell me. Was anyone else like this, like, kind of confused by this whole bit where you're like, what the fuck is Bakugo doing? Like, is he keeping tabs on Shigaraki's movements to, like, you know, trying to think of a counterattack or something? Like, what the fuck was he doing here, man? Anyway, so then, like I said, we then see a close up on Bakugo's eye. Like I said, his eyes look very similar to how he did, and like, he starts having all these like sparkles around him. Like I said, it looks like a lot like when he used One for All back in Heroes Rising. I don't know if he was using One for All there, if he still had some embers left over from that movie, and he's now using, and now he's like unconsciously using it, or this is like his quirk awakening. This is his quirk awakening. Not entirely sure what was going on here, but it was definitely interesting if it was indeed One for All. This is when we get to the commercial cards. We actually see that both Mirio and Tamaki both got new commercial cards as well. I also like what they did with his logo, the logo for Sun Eater. I like the way it looked, man. The new renders for both of them look fantastic. So then we're back to Mirio and Shigaraki as once again Mirio is telling me, if you have friends, you wouldn't be doing this, right? You'd want to protect them. You wouldn't want to destroy things, right? We then go inside Shigaraki where we see Tenko chilling inside his like the cave, while he's surrounded by Shigaraki's fingers. We get a flashback back to Season 5, to his flashback when he was saying that I told Mikun and Tomo we should play together, as he's scratching his eye. And all that. And it seemed like Mirio really hit a nerve there. And then he says, I do have friends. Miko and Tomo said I was nice. Mon, which I believe is his dog, wanted to take walks with me. I do too have friends. And yeah, and just Shigaraki just snaps in this moment, and also his voice changes a lot more, which it's kind of hard to tell, but I'm assuming this is like this Shigaraki Seiyu's like normal voice, because if you guys don't know, he also voices Rin Itoshi in Blue Lock, and I watched some of the Japanese clips of that because you guys remember there's that one episode where they fight a bunch of foreigners, and like of course they're like speaking in English or whatnot. There was Japanese subtitles there. Well, the dub, they actually just gave all the characters their proper accents for the country that they represented. In the Japanese, they were all just speaking English, and they're like, wow, he could understand English. And his voice sounded a lot like there. So I'm assuming that what he was just doing there was just his regular voice when he's doing the for Shigaraki and all that jazz. Which makes me very curious to see how Eric Vale is going to perform this when the dub this goes. Is he just going to use his normal standard voice? Is he going to maybe use like high pitch, maybe go a little bit of a higher pitch to make it sell more that this is Tenko talking and not Shigaraki? I'm very curious, because this was a really like, oh shit, what the fuck is happening, moment in the episode, and like definitely very out of character for Shigaraki. Like obviously his mind is like splitting apart, and like he doesn't know which personality he is. Is it Shigaraki, All for One, Tenko, etc. So this is a really nice moment. The shout out to Shigaraki Seiyu, and like I said, I'm really curious to see how Eric Vale is going to perform this when the dub this. And Mirio's just like, hey, sorry, bro. Like, he didn't know, man. It was just a shot. Everyone else is like, did I hit such a subject? Better not do that again. Which, yeah, man, like we were all in that. And then, like I said, Shigaraki says that he's splitting apart. Tenko, Tomura, Shigaraki should have completely integrated with me. Who's the me? I got in this situation, I don't know. Is he talking about Tenko is him? Is he talking about All for One? All for One in general is him? Who does he mean by me? I guess we will. I guess we will never know. But then we get another shot of Tenko surrounded by Shigaraki's fingers. That also looked really nice as well. So then his fingers. So then he starts clearing like his like finger army thing around out to the side, man. As he starts slowly approaching Bakugo as he's like barely standing up. Well, of course Mirio's trying to stop him, but Shigaraki just doesn't even care anymore. It's like, I'm not going to keep you company while you're just stalling for time. So then Nejire gets in there, man, to try and help out a little bit. Well, you got Betty. He's like, all right, bro, come at me, bro. I dare you to take me down, bro. He just shit talking me, but we all know that he is definitely very beaten. We also see Shigaraki's cape like split open like a spider's web and stand up. I don't know if this was like Ed Shop messing with his cape or Shigaraki can now control fabrics. Or maybe it was Best Genius thing. I'm not sure. But maybe the dude can control fabrics now. Not entirely sure what this was about, but it looked pretty cool. So then, like I said, Nejire starts to get in there, throwing various attacks at him. We get flashback back to when Best Genius said, "This is your coffin in the sky." And then Shigaraki just throws it right back in their face, saying, "It looks like you people made your own coffins for you to lie in your cells." And like I said, Nejire is trying to attack Shigaraki. She ends up getting hit by his fingers. And then we actually get some Nejire backstory, man. We finally get to see some backstory from her back in middle school, man, which, like her middle school side, I like kind of what she had, like a Twin Tails thing going on with her hair, man. Looked pretty cute. Although it's kind of weird how, you know, like, this is like the way the timeline this works, or it seems like this takes place right before she went to UA, but for some reason her hair is double, like, there's no way where her hair is at, like, now in this middle school backstory, would it grow that long to where she has it to her like, season 3 look, to the long hair look, in just, like, a few months. Like, I feel like that wouldn't work that way, but I'm no hair expert, but, you know, I thought that was a little bit of, like, I guess you would call continuity, or, like, didn't really make sense of how her hair was able to grow that long, unless she's just really good at hiding it in that little twin tail thing she had going on there in middle school. And during this little flashback, Nejire is just like going to all her different classmates that she had in this is maybe her third year, maybe her second year. I'm not really sure what the timeline is. Maybe it's over a year. That's how her hair is so long, but I don't know. Regardless of such, she is just walking around every one of her classmates asking like the same type of questions that, like, let's be real, every Marvel fan has asked them, like, oh, I wonder if Mr. Like comic book shop in the shower, like, oh, I wonder if Mr. Fantastic can stretch his dick. Does Hulk have a dick get bigger when does Bruce get a better dick when he turns into the Hulk? Is Spider-Man's cum reactive as well? Well, now we did get an answer for it. But, you know, those kind of stupid questions. She's asking, like, her different classes, like, one guy can, like, stretch his fingers. Like, oh, is it, you can stretch your finger. Does you have one kid, like, I think, like, clean, that another one of her classmates is, like, brushes. You can turn her hands into, like, brushes. And then, like, oh, if you clean something, does that make your hands get dirty when you turn back? There's also a cute girl with red hair, bunny ears in the background, if you pay attention. That looks a lot like Shizaru from Bleach. Put that out there, man. Y'all know me. I always say, hey, hello, redhead. But yeah, it's always nice to see a redhead in here walk. I'm still a little salty about that one red-haired chick that Uraraka floated away that we never actually got to see her face. We're like, come on, Horikoshi Sensei, why must you tease me like that, my guy? And yeah, she just keeps going on to other one of her class. Another guy can like grow his hair. She's wondering if she's gonna turn when she grows up. If he's gonna open like a wig shop or like become a ghost at a haunted house. Like she's just going to everyone. And eventually, one of her classes says like, hey, just because you have a cord that can do anything, you're looking down on the rest of us, aren't you? Literally the female Bakugo, man. This was Nejire's Bakugo. And I was gonna say, I love this shot as well with her looking at like her whole classic looking in front of her that are all like silhouettes, man. I really like this shot, man. I thought this was really well storyboarded. Like I said, the storyboard of this episode was fantastic. I really like the storyboard. So anyway, we cut over to when she's finally at UA High, and by this point, she's kind of like kept to her. She now keeps to herself, like as she mentions in her narration. The more she wanted to know people, the more that they kept their distance from her. So then one day, Tamaki finally gained the courage to ask her what hero she liked, and this just sets Nejire off. And you also got that one. Pinkish red-haired chick, you're like, oh, Nejire, your hair! You know, she's just in the background just oohing at this moment. And then once Tom asks that one question, that just sets her off and she's like, hey, why are you hiding your face, etc., 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 etc. And so then we kind of get some more, and then she mentions how if it wasn't for that night, she wouldn't got to know you two, and when we wouldn't have become even stronger as we see the birth of the big three of UA. So as she is firing attacks them, like Shigaraki is absolutely paying her no mind as he marches towards Shigaraki. But as we see that she's using her energy blast not only to hit Shigaraki, or try to anyway, but she's also charging up Tamaki's cannon, where he combined a various into an absolute monstrosity of a cannon, bro. Like, this shit looks fucking disgusting. Horikoshi should say, please make a horror manga after Hiroaka. You clearly have an eye for it. Anyway, after merging all these animals together into this absolutely hideous monstrosity of a cannon that might as well be like a Death Star laser or something, maybe this was more to be like Power Rangers, like as you guys know in Power Ranger, I guess Super Sentai would be the proper terminology for this one. Is that you guys know that they always the most time the items to fight the bad guy, I mean, if they're not using their Zords, they always have this like arm cannon. They always have this cannon that all of them use together to defeat the enemy. It reminded me of that. I'm not sure if that's what he was going for or not, but that's what it reminded me of. He finally fires the thing, and it just goes right through Shigaraki's arms like butter. And I also have to say, the animation here was absolutely spectacular, man. Both the art as well as the animation itself looked absolutely just gorgeous, man. This was honestly probably the best looking, best drawn, best animated part of the episode, arguably. There were two sections that looked absolutely incredible, and I'm sure you guys know what the other one. But anyway, wanted to give a huge shout out to Norimitsu Suzuki, who I believe, which according to myself, again, that was the key animator for this portion of the episode. So shout out to him, man. This looked absolutely spectacular, man. Especially the impact frames and everything, man. This whole section looked absolutely amazing, especially Tamaki as well. I love the way he was drawn here, man. It looks so good, man. And then while Shigaraki's Tamaki's firing off his cannon, Mirio comes in there and clotheslines Shigaraki, or grabs him or does something to him while Tamaki's cannon goes off. But of course, it does fuck all to him because of course, and as Shigaraki meant, like, you would prime Golden Age All Might get killed by that attack, And then this is when Bakugo just starts walking towards Shigaraki. And of course, Best Genius is trying to stop him as Bakugo tells him to take care of the others. As he comes right toward him, he says, I have to win, right? Izuku. And I also really like this one shot as he's walking towards Shigaraki. We get this nice little cool shot where some of his blood drips down onto this leaf on the ground, man. I thought that was a nice little shot. I like that. And Bakugo just straight up teleports right in front of Shigaraki with his hand in front of his face and just starts firing off explosions everywhere. And the man just starts teleporting everywhere while he landing attacks on Shigaraki. We then hear, I think it's President Mike, but I couldn't really tell. It sounded different, but I think it might have been President Mike. I'm not sure. I'll know for certain once the dub of this airs. But anyway, we find he does the usual Bakugo, his core explosives, yada yada yada. But we kind of learned that more or less this is indeed his awakening. Like I said, with the way his eyes look, I do wonder if he was also using All for One to give him a slight extra power boost compared to what this, and maybe that's how this whole thing happened. Not sure, but it definitely did look like he was using All for One there. But no way to know but we don't know for certain. At least yet, I don't know if the manga confirmed it or anything. Regardless, we find out that because of the whole thing he was doing with Cluster about storing up the balls of sweat in his palms and releasing there, that had an effect on his sweat gland. So afterwards, his body just said, fuck it, and just started releasing sweat in other parts of his body. So that's where all the sparkles are coming from. It's coming from his sweat going from other parts of his body, which is also giving which also gives him a speed boost due to being so close to him. They're propelling him forward in various directions. And also the animation here and the drawings especially, man, looked incredible, man. I want to give a huge shout out to the animator that worked on this part of the episode as well, real quick, which was Nobutaka Masuda, if I'm pronouncing that right. That was the key animator that worked on this episode, but also the character designer for the series apparently also worked on this episode as well, Yoshihiko Umakoshi, if I'm pronouncing his name right. I'm assuming he was apparently the animation director for this episode, but I'm assuming he also did some corrections as well, because that's usually what he does during whenever there's a new character gets introduced or there's a new form. He's usually on the episode to make sure it looks perfect, to make sure it looks how it is for the rest of the team, and he'll make sure its initial appearance looks great. So I'm assuming he did some corrections on this part as well. He was being the animation director for this episode. Either way, whatever his role was in this episode, it looked fantastic, and the key animation here looked absolutely spectacular. Just this one shot of Bakugo when he says, "Can I still catch up to you, man?" It looks It just looks amazing, man. And the music of this episode as well, almost forgot to mention, was spectacular as well. I love the music that was in this show, man. It was amazing. So while all of this is going on, I guess All For One takes over his body and this was also really nice. I like this one here with All For One, with the second All For One user. With behind like this red background with all these like destroyed buildings, a red sky. It looks amazing. Where he said he should be the same as he should be the same as an undersized beetle. Why am I getting flustered? I'll destroy you. As we see shots of as the conflict flips back and forth between Bakugo as well as the second All For One user. Which this makes me wonder if this is where that ridiculous theory about Bakugo being a time traveler like Cable, and the second All For One user is a time traveling Bakugo started. Which is the most ridiculous shit I've ever heard, man. Like, bro, this shit ain't X-Men, bro. Why would... I'm sure Howard Cosell probably likes Cable. You know, Cable's a cool character, but like, come on now. That is absolutely absurd. But anyway, we then go inside, I guess, All Might's, or I guess Bakugo's head or whatever, where he's talking to the spirit of All Might, where he mentions that when we first met, I was kind of a brat. And also, shout out to Bakugo Seiyu as well. Massive shout out to him as well. His voice was spectacular. I cannot wait to hear Clifford's version of this when the dub of this episode airs, man. It's going to be spectacular, man. I cannot wait. Which also, by the way, you didn't know that we're not getting a dub episode this week. We're going to be getting the dub battles next week, and we're not going to get a new Hero Arc episode this week because of the Olympics. So the next episode is going to be airing the week after next. So we're done. So we're gonna start. There won't be a new review next week. That'll be the week afterward is when we're going to get the final, where we're going to get the next episode due to the Olympics. I'm assuming it's airing on the channel that Hero Arc airs during its time slot or whatever. I'm assuming. But anyway, as I was saying, he says when I first met, I was kind of a brat, so I didn't get a chance to say this. And then he pulls out the All Might card out of his pocket, which, first of all, Bakugo, I must say, you know, for a guy that obviously values this card, and it's obviously rare, and with how much, and it looks pretty. You know, I have to say, why the fuck did you take better care of this card, man? Like, bro, why is it not at least in a sleeve? Did this man literally just keep this card in his pocket, letting it all crumpled up and bunched up and rippled and like fucking wrinkled up, man, in your pocket, bro? Why couldn't you at least put it in the case, bro? At least put the damn thing in his sleeve to preserve its value when you do get All Might decided, bro. Come on! Even I know that much. I don't even collect cards. Did anyone else did that bug anybody else, or is that just me? Anyway, jokes aside, man, when he pulls out the card of his pocket, he says, I always wanted to get your autograph, which it's really nice. And the shot of Bakugo with his arm on his neck, man, just like, he looked amazing, bro. I don't know who did the drawing. I don't know once again if it was Nobunaka that did this scene as well, or if that was, I don't think so. I think it was a different animator, or if Yoshihiko did this, whatever. Whoever drew this, whoever's cut this did a fantastic job with this portion of the episode, man. Like, Bakugo looks amazing here, man. But anyway, as I was saying, he wanted to get on Bakugo's Syndrome, and I thought this was a nice touch as well. This is something I didn't know until I rewatched bits of the episode before I started recording with my headphones on. But you can actually, right here, right before Shigaraki deals the quote-unquote killing blow to Bakugo, you can actually hear his heartbeat during the scene with All Might, and then once we get to actually see his heart, you can actually see it like kind of like you hear his heartbeat, and then we see it move to the side as we see white fill up the screen as Bakugo gets hit. I thought that was a nice touch. I thought that was a really nice touch. And we end the episode off with Bestie is trying to rush towards Bakugo, but just barely miss him. The card falls out of his pocket, and then we see Bakugo. Well, we get a weather report that there's possibly rain coming, and Bakugo's mom says that he hates the rain. And then we end the episode off with Bakugo dead, which, like I said, he ate. But man, does that shock? I've seen the manga panel of this version many times because, like I said, it's such a huge moment that I just couldn't avoid the spoilers for it, man. But the anime, my God, it might even look better than the manga, man. Like, it looks spectacular, man. I don't know who drew this, but they did an amazing job, man. This shot looked absolutely spectacular, man. Like, my God. I would say, well, this is so good, I put on thumbnail, but I obviously don't like putting spoilers in thumbnails, so it's not going to be in the thumbnail. But yeah, man, that is where the episode ends, ladies and gentlemen. A phenomenal episode once again, man. Easily one of the best of the series, man. I don't know if I would go as far as say top 10, but I'd probably say top 20 episode of the series, man. This was incredible, man. I absolutely love this episode. Like I said, we're not going to be getting a new episode next week. We're going to get the episode week after that. So we'll just be getting a dub episode next week that I might be reacting to. I don't remember if I was or not. But anyway, guys, overall, give this episode a 10! out of fucking 10, ladies and gentlemen. As always, hope you guys enjoyed the video. You leave a like if you did, subscribe if you're new, follow me on social media if you feel like it, links are across below, and it's always back for more. See you guys next time.